Hi everyone, and welcome back to my cabin in the forest. When I moved out here in 2021, I wanted a more simple way of living from that in the city. Surrounded by peace and quiet, animals, nature, and in many ways that was what I got. I started a kitchen garden and taught myself how to grow food. I collected resources in nature like rainwater and wood for heating. I foraged and preserved my own food and learned to live more off the land. And I even learned to make elderflower champagne, an instant classic in my new off-grid tiny household. It was about the very simple and concrete satisfactions you get, like when you chop your own wood and heat your house with it, or when you plant a seed and it grows into something you can eat. And simply just be having the time to go for a walk in nature every once in a while and enjoy the scenery and peace and quiet. It's not very complicated, it's just a series of actions that are fairly easy to do and with direct payoffs in terms of peace of mind and sensory satisfaction. And you always know what to do, because every season has its chores and things that need to get done. And when a year has passed, the cycle begins again with a new spring and a new beginning. But however peaceful and simple this lifestyle might seem, I realized that it was also quite a lot of work. When you rely less on what society can provide for you, you almost spend all of your time managing your homestead. It takes time to build everything up. And when that's done, you also need to maintain all of your systems. Like fairly often cleaning the rainwater filter, the gutters and the rainwater tank. And also coordinating and planning all the many different activities necessary to run and develop a homestead. And then you also need to figure out how to get an income, because after all, you live in the real world and you need to buy stuff. So I had 3 or 4 smaller jobs on the side, apart from homesteading. Of course, you also have social relations, like in my case my friends and my family and my dog to tend to and take care of. Sometimes you have system breakdowns, like the water tank gets polluted or you run out of power, and then life gets a little bit more complicated. So you often spend a lot of mental and physical energy in just keeping the daily life going. So this supposedly simple life can at times feel not so simple. And to be honest, a little bit overwhelming. So in 2024 I decided to go on a vacation and take a break from all of this. Ironically, my vacation was spent in a very remote, off-grid cabin in Norway, which you could only access by hiking up in the mountains. But out here I didn't have a deadline. And with no Wi-Fi or cell phone reception, I did not have the noise and the stress of the news and the outside world. Just imagine being in a place where literally no one can contact you. And your mind doesn't get bombarded with sounds and information on a screen all the time. Where you can actually rest your head and check in with yourself. So I spent the time up here with analog activities like reading a book, cooking and fishing. and of course hiking through the scenic landscapes of Western Norway. Rediscovering a true peace of mind that I had not experienced for a long time. And also a much more simple way of existing. However tired I was in the evenings. And I know that I can't ever completely live like this back at home. But I promised myself that I would remember how a truly simple life can feel and use it to rethink my life when I got back. So in the autumn of that same year, I embarked on a new journey of rebooting not only my homestead, but my entire lifestyle. To make it a bit more simple and manageable, so I wouldn't get so exhausted from it. And in November I started building my current cabin, the heart of my new homestead. The plan was to make life a bit easier in this new house, with better space for my fairly big dog, with more insulation, a better heating system and also power setup. And I'm a little over a year now into building this new house. I'm not finished yet, but I'm well on my way. And I can already feel how life has become easier. I have even adopted some new practices into my daily life, inspired in part by my trip to Norway. And I'll talk more about that in the following. So this idea about rebooting my lifestyle with simple living, I guess comes down to a question of reducing complexity in my life generally, I would say. And I'll just share some of my thoughts about that. So one of the ways that I do that is in terms of how I live my daily life. And this new cabin will radically change, and already has radically changed my daily life, because it's actually a lot easier to live right now. Because beforehand I spent so much time on just gathering resources or managing resources like rainwater and firewood and electricity, and constantly I was saving resources all the time and harvesting or gathering resources all the time. And that's, of course, that can be a part of simple living, but I would say like you need to find a balance so that your home supports a more comfortable way of living, even though it's a more simple life. And in this case, I have insulated the cabin a whole lot more than the old house, and it's much more comfortable in terms of space and in terms of electricity. I have better batteries in the new house. So in that way, I think my life will be a whole lot easier. And then another aspect of my life that could be simplified somewhat is my work life. Being a YouTuber like me is not super simple, because you constantly need to charge devices, and you need to have a camera and a drone, you have the computer, and you need to make sure that everything is like with full battery every time you go out and film. And like just having so much digital complexity, and then also the computer where you need to edit everything, and the microphones, and like it adds a whole lot of complexity. So an ideal situation for me would actually be not to be a YouTuber, but just having a part-time job. But I'm not planning to have that anytime soon, but maybe in the future, I don't know. It would definitely make my life a little bit more simple. But for the time being, I actually enjoy being a YouTuber. So I just need to find a balance so that I can make a more simple life. But for anyone who isn't a YouTuber, having a part-time job while living a bit more self-sufficiently, I think might be a pretty good solution, because if you don't have that, at least it's my experience, then you stress a little bit about like how to get money. So I had like multiple incomes. I still have that, and therefore I'm always like working a little bit extra just to make sure that I have enough income. But by having a part-time job, I think you would stress a little bit less about that, and then you would have some more time to do things that you enjoy more. And I think another way that I can reduce complexity in my life is with the entertainment that I use in my time off. Like in the cabin in Norway, I just read books, and it was just so nice to have this totally and utterly silence and no contact to the outside world. And of course, I can't really replicate that back here in Denmark, because there is internet and people all over. Even though I live in the forest, I still have neighbors and people around and friends coming over, which is nice, but I don't have that complete solitude. So, but still, I can do some more analog activities. Like I've taken up reading again, even though it can be a little bit hard because I often edit YouTube videos in the evenings. But just taking maybe 1 or 2 evenings off every week, just to do some analog activities like reading. And I've also started playing the guitar again after some years. Like I haven't played the guitar in all the years that I've done Tiny Living. So I'm taking that up again, and even writing lyrics. But I've gotten this very bad habit of watching all of my news on my phone or listening to podcasts all the time. So I have this stressful noise and all the chaos from out in the world. I just have that on a constant feed into my brain every day, and it does not improve my life quality whatsoever. So just by being a bit more analog and feel a little bit more disconnected to the digital world around me, I think will help me straighten out my thoughts a little bit, and also maybe relax a little bit more, which is kind of the point of living out here. So I think that will greatly enhance my my life quality. And another simple living lesson that I was reminded of in the mountains of Norway was like this very simple satisfaction that there is in going out into the landscape with your fishing rod or whatever, like and get some food, and then you apply some skills to a task, and then you can turn that wild piece of wild nature into something that you can enjoy and even survive on. And like it has so many great things going for it, I would say. Like there is first and foremost a very simple satisfaction in it, because you are hungry, and then you go out with your fishing rod, and then you turn that into food that you can eat and survive. Like there is a very simple line of thought in that, I would say. And then the food obviously is also often pretty simple. Like you don't need very advanced food to impress yourself or maybe your friends, because just the sheer fact that the food is wild is like it's impressive in and of itself that we can still gather our own food, because we are so accustomed to just going down into the supermarket. So to me at least, that feels like a very simple joy, because it's so concrete and you can just go out and do it, and then like you feel so great after having eaten a meal that you have gathered yourself or hunted yourself. And then there is another aspect to it that a lot of native peoples around the world can speak into, but this notion that you tie yourself more directly to the land that you live on when you gather or hunt for food on that land. Like you become part of the land in a way, and you can see that in the ways that the first peoples of the Americas, for instance, that they talk about food. Like they are so existentially linked to the food of the land, whether it be the fruits of an oak tree or the fish in a river. Like you're tied to the landscape through the food. And I like that. And there is a simple satisfaction in that realization as well, and also an important realization, because like we are, as a human species, I think we are disconnecting more and more to nature, because we are living more and more shielded from nature due to the way that we make houses and cities and everything. So we forget our relationship to nature. But wild food is one way where you can still be reminded of your connection to nature and how existentially linked we all are to nature and how interdependent we all are. And in rebooting this new homestead, I will of course have a lot of food that I can grow and thus incorporate into my daily food here in the homestead. But my plan is that I will make a new permaculture garden, and you would be surprised about how many different things that you can actually grow and eat in this climate throughout the entire year almost. So I think I'll go for a wide array of different types of food, so I can harvest food in my garden most of the year really. Because in that way I will have that connection to my own land throughout most of the year. I will of course need to buy stuff in the supermarket, but it will be supplementary at some point, because I have so many different foods already, like berries and fruits and mushrooms, and then vegetables in the summertime. And like, I'll just go for as much food as I possibly can grow here on this relatively small piece of land. So that's definitely part of my rebooting of this homestead, in terms of enjoying these simple pleasures a bit more. Then the fifth and final strategy for me to reduce complexity in my life is about social relations and avoiding social FOMO in a way. Because when I was up in the cabin in Norway, I really enjoyed having that alone time and not having people texting you all the time. And obviously it's nice to connect with people, it's not that, but it's just like in this day and age, people can text you all the freaking time, and we have so many different social platforms like Instagram and Facebook and text messages and LinkedIn and like just so many ways that people can contact you, and we all experience that. And I think that we all have this challenge of learning how to dial down maybe the amount of people that we are in contact with every day, because I don't think that we are biologically wired to connect with so many people. And it reminds me that there is this number, I think it's called the Dunbar's number, and it's around 150, and it indicates how many people we as human beings are biologically wired to comprehend in a way. Like, I think it's some old tribal biology that we have installed in us, and it just speaks to the fact that it's not natural for us to connect with so many people. So we need to disconnect, I think, for our own health sake. So by simplifying the amount of social platforms or digital platforms or how much we engage with them, I think can make for a better life quality really, and also just a greater peace of mind really in your everyday. And I know that that's something that I as a YouTuber really need to work with, because just on YouTube alone I get thousands of messages like every month, and I cannot possibly answer all of them, and some of them are very lengthy and very interesting to read, and I love them, but it's not possible for me to answer all of those messages. So that's something that I really need to constrain myself, so that I can find some time just to relax and have my own peace of mind. So that was my thoughts on simple living and my experiences after 6 years. I really hope you enjoyed the video and maybe even found some inspiration. And if you want to hang around on this channel, you can go and watch this video next. See you again soon. Bye.